So I've already talked a little bit about the weird looks of the thing, and now I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the weird features, some of the weird ergonomic aspects of the gun itself. I'll start with the grip. The grip is a little odd looking. It's not your traditional revolver looking grip. I have a couple other Emilio Ghisoni designed guns, the Rhino and the Mateba MTR-8, and the grips do look weird on those too, but so far I've been really impressed with his grip design, so I kind of expected the same thing with this one, that it looks funny and it would feel awesome. And I mean, it does feel good. When you get used to it, it kind of settles down in your hand real nice and low. It's just that this palm swell here is a little big for me, but I mean, really, it does feel pretty ergonomic to me, the grip part of it. I think part of the problem too is that with all this weight up here, it does sort of your hand acts as it acts as a lever in your hand, and it sort of is pushing that grip more into your hand than it would normally. So I think that might be why I'm feeling it more. But yeah, so I mean, the grip feels good to me overall. Just checking to make sure it's staying in frame. I can't see what I'm doing. This hammer here, or this is how you cock the hammer. You pull this lever back, and you let it go. It comes back forward. Now there's no tension here. There's no effort, and it's cocked. You see the triggers back here, and you might have seen these levers move here. So I'll decock it by pulling this back, pushing the trigger, and easing it forward. I do not want to dry fire this. I do have some snap caps I'm going to show you in a minute how to load it, but I definitely don't want to dry fire this thing because as rare as it is getting parts, it's like out of the question. So I don't want to break anything. Anyway, so you got the trigger. The cylinder release is pretty novel and pretty interesting too. You pull this down, this little button here. I don't know how well that's showing up with my finger in the way, but pull that down and then pull this out, and the cylinder comes out. Now, one of the weirder things about this too, I mean, it just keeps going and going with weird stuff, is you have this sort of speed loader looking thing. It's actually not a speed loader. It's something that's required to fire the gun. What it is it's a little loading plate. Let me see if I can bring this in and it'll show up on the camera very well. Anyway, it's this little loading plate, and what you do is you twist this little tab here. It's just not focusing. You twist this tab here, and that lines up this little bar in the middle there, and then you can open this like a clamshell. Then what you do, at least I think this is how you load it. This is what feels easiest to me. I mean, there was no manual with this thing. Slip those in there. Only thing that I got with it, by the way, I got this a generic black case, because I imagine when they were making this, that fancy packaging wasn't really there where they wanted to devote their assets. But I got this American Western Arms little cloth sleeve thing that it came in, because that's who imported these, was American Western Arms. Anyway, so that's loaded. I only have 6 snap caps, unfortunately. It is an 8-round cylinder, but close that up. Then you twist this again so that it locks. Let's see, I think that's in. Yeah, it's not in. See, it's kind of finicky and kind of weird, but so now you have this thing loaded. Hoping that focuses. Then you load it up. While I got it open, there you might notice the pawl that stops the cylinder is in the top strap of the gun. On the Se Unica, the auto revolver, it's in this thing, in this sort of blast shield area, and then in most revolvers you're going to have it on the bottom here. But this gun is sort of just completely upside down in this respect, so you have that up there. But you put it in, and when you put it in, this is something that I try to be really careful about. Usually you just kind of can just shut it, but with this gun, this button here, the cylinder release, if you're not careful, when you shut it, it bangs into this. So I definitely don't want to mar the finish by doing that. So I shut it. I tried to guide it in so that the pawl goes right into the little slot, and now it's loaded. Well, yeah, I mean with snap caps, but. Another ergonomic thing, I'll show you the sight picture here. Let's see if that shows up. It's not really, I'll be honest, it's not really the best. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. I don't think it's the best sight picture. It's definitely not like a combat sight system where you can instantly just pick it up. But what's interesting is, and this is another sort of little quest that I'm going to go on, is to get the toolkit that you can find for these things that moves the front sight. The front sight is on sort of a disc, and it's in the front part of the disc. So what this tool does is it lets you twist the disc, which moves the front sight left and right in sort of an arc a little bit. And that's how you actually tune the sights, because this sight in the back is it's a fixed rear sight, but the front sight you can adjust for that. So that's how you tune the sights. And I think part of that is because there is the carbine version, and I think it's probably just a consideration when they were manufacturing these so that they could just put a longer barrel on there and tune it at the factory maybe. I mean, that's just my theory. I don't really know, but. So yeah, that's the sight picture. I'll tell you a little bit about the trigger while I'm talking about ergonomics. Now that I have the snap caps in, yeah, they're in the right position. The cylinder rotates clockwise. It goes this way, and the trigger, it's actually pretty decent in double action. Like I said, the gun was designed for ISU competitions. I don't really know anything about that stuff, but I imagine that they're double action shooting. So the trigger is pretty decent, actually. I was surprised with that, with all the levers going on and everything. But I don't think it's too bad in double action. If you want to cock it into single action, because this is double action, single action, you just pull this back, like I showed you before. It sort of sticks here for a second and then flips forward. Now you have it in single action. And it's not too heavy. Let me make sure I'm still on snap cap. Yeah, I got one more. It's pretty crisp. I'm actually pretty impressed with the trigger. I didn't know what to expect, but I mean, I guess considering it's a and then for me to advance to the next snap cap since I'm missing a couple. But yeah, the double action, it feels really good, I think. And then the single action too, it's pretty crisp, really short travel, not too heavy. So I'm pretty impressed with the trigger. I can see why it would be a competition gun. I have to say, as a disclaimer, I have not shot this yet. I did just get it a few days ago, and like I said, given the rarity of it, I'm not willing to shoot a whole lot of rounds through it. I do want to put a box through some point, just to see sort of how the recoil works and everything, but it's not going to be one that I put a lot of rounds through, so I can't really tell you yet what that feels like. I do plan to make a shooting video, though. I haven't made one of those yet, but with something like this, since I'm not going to be shooting it a lot, and as far as I know, there's no other video of this thing being fired. I want to be able to film it and put it on YouTube. I think that'll be pretty interesting to see. So, can't really say one way or the other how it actually shoots, but I think it'll shoot really well. The trigger feels good. The sights, once you get them lined up, they will work, I think. So, and then with the low bore axis, the weight up front, I think it's going to feel really good to shoot. In my other videos, I always take a couple minutes to talk about criticisms of the gun, and I'll do that here, but it's sort of the same thing as with the Sei Unica, that there's not really a point in criticizing it. It just sort of is what it is. It's funky and weird and all that, but maybe in 1980 you could have put some criticisms against it when it was new and they were actually trying to sell it, but nowadays it's just so rare that there's no point in really leveling criticisms against it. If I did have to pick some, though, it would probably be, the weight distribution is pretty weird. It's so front heavy. Like I said, though, it feels good in my hand, but it is front heavy, so that's something that would take some getting used to, and I think you could get used to it. But and again, it was intended to be front heavy to keep the muzzle flip down. So, is that really a criticism if it was designed for that, with that in mind? Another criticism the biggest one would probably be the difficulty in loading the thing. This whole system with the little speed loader and the clamshell type of speed loader thing, it's really cumbersome and awkward to try to load. It's slow. It's just not very easy and not very fun, and it is required to shoot the gun, so you can't do without it. If you put rounds in there without this thing, it won't fire at all. So that's something that, that again has a purpose. It was designed for quick loading. So you just slip it in and you're ready to go. You don't have to twist anything. Ideally, I guess the guys that were competing would have several of these lined up, and they would just put them in there and shut the thing. Other criticisms pretty minor. It's just that this the cylinder release, like I said, if you're not pulling it down as you put it in, it's going to kind of bash into your frame. And the previous owner, it looks like, did sort of do that a couple times. With this one, there was a little bit of the frame chipping off, but that's kind of a minor nitpick too. But in the end, this gun is what it is. It's cool and weird and unusual, but there's not a real point in spending a lot of time criticizing it. So, in conclusion, I am really proud to finally be an owner of this gun. It's been a white whale for me for quite a while. Sort of this mythical unicorn type of creature that you see it every once in a while. You see photos, but they're all the same photos, and does it really exist somewhere, or what's the deal with it? And I finally found one. The guy was willing to sell it, and I knew I would never get that chance again, so I had to jump on it and buy it. Really glad that I did. Sure, it may have some different shortcomings, but more than makes up for it in being weird and rare. And it's just everything that I want in a gun, pretty much. I'm into Emilio Ghisoni's other designs, the other Matebas and the Chiappa Rhino. So just to sort of start completing that collection. Right now my next epic quest is going to be to find a Mateba 2006M. And that's going to be a hard one because those were only sold in Europe. There were none imported to the United States, so I'm going to have to look. They're rare over there too, so I'm going to have to really do some scrounging, find one over there, find someone who's willing to send it over here, and go through all the trouble and expense of importing it. But I feel like I've got to do it now. I've got a Sei Unica. I've got this one. Got the Chiappa Rhino. And yeah, I would really love to have the 2006M to my collection. And if any of you guys are in Europe and if you have a lead for one, just please send me a message. I'll actually pay you a finder's fee for helping me to find a 2006M that I could get imported over here. So just please let me know if you know of one for sale somewhere. We really appreciate that. At some point in the future, I'm going to make a shooting video of this. I'll probably make a comparison video with this, the Rhino, and the Mateba, and eventually I'd love to have that 2006M and do this whole group video and talk about Emilio's guns a little bit, sort of tell you what I know about them. So yeah, that's the Mateba MTR-8. Another angle there. The crown jewel, sort of the weirdest gun I own so far, and definitely my pride and joy at this point. So thanks for watching, and look for more videos on this thing coming in the future. Thanks.